When I was 18, I bought my first ever investment property at a tax deed sale for only $12,000. I didn't use any mortgages, any banks, and it was all bought with strategies. So in today's video, I wanted to show you guys exactly how I was able to purchase my first ever property at a tax deed auction, so you guys can do it too. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you guys don't know me, my name is Tiffany, and I've been investing in real estate for over 5 years now, doing everything from tax deed sales, foreclosure auctions, fix and flips, buys and holds, and even building a tiny house at one point. So if you're ready to buy your first investment property without a ton of money, then you're in the right place. So to get started, not every state has tax deed sales, so I just wanted to go over this to make sure you guys are looking in the right place and you don't get frustrated looking in a state that doesn't even have them. Florida is one of them, which is where I'm going to be looking because that is my familiar market. But we also have Alaska, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Idaho, Maine, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, New York, and Oklahoma. And so basically we're going to be using these. Foreclosure sales you'll find in every single state. However, tax deed sales are only in specific ones, and you'll also find tax certificates in specific states, but that is not what we're looking for because you're not actually buying property with the tax certificates. So just wanted to preface this before we start looking. But to get started, I wanted to go ahead. I'm going to be looking in Sarasota County, but I do want to show another few. So to start off, we have to actually find the foreclosure deals that we're going to be researching. Now, typically the county themselves has a foreclosure auction website. You can also find them on sites like auction.com. I've seen a few on, I believe it's called Property Onion as well. They kind of like pick up from like the county auctions and they put them on there. So you can see here, and if we were to filter, you guys know I already love auction.com. I've bought I think 2 or 3 houses on here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do foreclosure homes. These are usually the county properties, but I will say that they only have houses on here. So I definitely want to focus in today's video more on empty parcels. They're a little more attainable. You can buy them cash, which you need to, especially off of these county sites. They usually don't allow financing because you only have about a day or 24 hours to go ahead and pay for the property once you win, which is not a lot of time, especially if you're gonna get financing. That usually takes quite a bit. So let's go ahead and click tax deed sales. So we're clicking on tax deed sales. We don't want to do the foreclosure because that'll bring up more houses than anything. Usually people get foreclosed on their houses, not just an empty parcel. So we're in May. This is the most common site that you'll see for tax deed sales. So it's realtaxdeed.com. And then you'll have like the county before. Not every county is going to have this either. Some really underdeveloped counties might just have like a literal PDF doc on their site, which you can find usually in the, what's it called? The secretary, or not the secretary, I forget what it's called, but basically just the county website. Usually they have a posting or listing there. The more developed counties I've noticed use Real Tax Deed for this. So usually you can just look up like whatever county Real Tax Deed auctions. And so kind of going in here, this is what the main page looks like, and you'll see auctions waiting here. We have an auction going off on the 29th. We have a ton of parcels here. Not every single one of them is going to be worth anything, so that's kind of where you have to filter out. But like I said, my favorite way to find them is either using the actual auction site from the county itself, or this site here also has a lot of good resources. It's called Property Onion. They have tons of properties on here. I will say I think they also focus more on houses, but you can see that they do have empty parcels as well. So it kind of just gives you a heads up, but whatever shows up on here is more than likely going to be on the actual county sites because that's where they actually pull their information. So this is going to be the most up-to-date site that you're going to find everything going up for auction, anything that's going to be pending. We have some that were redeemed already, which means that whoever owed the back taxes paid them up, so they're not going to auction. So we really just want to focus on the ones that are. And with that too, you also just have to keep in mind that these can be redeemed up to the date of the tax deed sale. So unfortunately, they can just basically disappear in an instant, but that doesn't stop us from doing some research and having a few that we would like to put in a bid. So now that you guys know exactly where to actually find tax deed sales, how to search them up in your county and your state, we're going to be looking at a specific property and seeing what information you should look up for that property in order to make an informed decision, and kind of just the research process that I go through. So starting off on that same page, we have here all of the parcels going up for auction. Now there's a few things that I want to pay attention to. Number one is going to be the opening bid, obviously, and then we have the assessed value, which is basically what the county assessed the property as. Usually, standard rule of thumb is it's less than what the property is actually worth. So like I said, starting bid, if it's lower than this number here, the assessed value, typically it's a good deal. If it's anything under than this, it's almost a guaranteed good deal. Now, of course, I would still recommend doing research just to make sure, you know, that is what it is. So we have a few here. This one, the opening bid is above. Doesn't stop me from looking into it. However, I do want to pay attention more to the higher numbers, especially because Northport is somewhat undeveloped here in Florida. It's one of the counties that's still in a come up. So the ones that are like $3,000, $2,000 of assessed value probably don't have much development around them, which honestly isn't the best for selling, especially if you want to do like a quick flip or if you want to buy to build, you know, get a construction loan, whatever you want to do. So I'm going to look at this one here because it's the highest one out of all of them. $7,000 is the assessed value, starting at $6,500 of back taxes. Once you click on this parcel ID, it's going to take you to this page, which is the property appraiser, and this is going to give you most of the information that you need on the parcel. It's going to tell you how big it is, the municipality, zoning. So this is R1. Basically, you can build a house on there. It sometimes might also give you like land information if it's a swamp, if it's in a lake area. Yes, I have seen those, and they usually don't sell, or they go for like stupid cheap. And then obviously who the ownership is. So this one is in a trust, didn't pay their taxes. Unfortunately now it's come to this. And we also have the every time it's been sold since it has existed, basically. So 1977 to 2015 was the last time it was sold. And of course, this is really important, at least here in Florida, is the flood zone. So X is typically okay. If it's anything in a hurricane flood zone, probably wouldn't touch it. Now, if we click on map, this is my next step. It brings us to the property appraiser, basically to show us exactly what each parcel is where, the property lines, etc. So we can see here, this is the parcel in question. We have a bunch of houses around here, so clearly it's not in a swampy area. There's already construction here, so the ground is probably solid enough and good enough to be built on. Of course, you can do more extensive research on that, but there's a house diagonal to it. And basically it's just a developed or a startup development. You can see there's quite a few houses around here, no big highways. We have a few retention ponds around, but nothing that would cause any flooding. And it's a lot more inland than like hurricane land. But if we're just doing this to flip, I wouldn't be too concerned, especially because this seems like a very up and coming area. So there are going to be people in the market looking for parcels. However, we have to see exactly how much people would be willing to pay for a parcel like this, so we don't get stuck buying a parcel and it's sitting on the market for longer than we need it to. So in the next step, we're going to go over how you can look at comps for this and see what your max bid should be or should look like. So that way you're, obviously not buying it for market price, and then you get stuck with it. You have to hold on to it for a couple years until development is caught up. And then from there down the line, you could sell it, but we definitely want to be cautious and be able to have the option to sell it now. And just kind of coming back here, we can also see there's no buildings, it's vacant land. Usually the property appraiser site's going to give you just about everything you need. You also have property record card. If you click on the tax portion of the site, it's basically going to show you exactly how much is past due. I haven't looked in the Sarasota County. Each one looks a little different, but we can see here's delinquent from 2018, 2019, 2020. So it hasn't been paid since a while. I'm sure we could go more back than this, but there's, for it to have summed up to $6,551, obviously they haven't paid their taxes for a little while. Now, before we move on to the next step, which is assuming that you won the bid, I do just want to preface this by saying that you do have to watch out for liens, do your lien search, or have a title search done prior to actually bidding and hopefully winning the bid, because if you don't, you could be responsible for any encumbrances on the property or any liens that are stuck on the property. And just because you bought it, you are now responsible, because most of these are buyer beware and as is sold properties. So once we have our parcel, the next step is to see how much we could possibly resell it for or get our max bid price, which we have to know how much we can sell it for. So I'm going to go ahead, and we have the parcel right here. I found it on the street. Usually with empty parcels like this, it's best to locate it on a map. That way you can visually see and read the street names, because sometimes the addresses that are associated with them get mixed up with like another address, and then you're looking at two separate properties thinking it's the same one. Yes, I have had that happen before. So going in here, we are just on Zillow.com. My settings are, we're on sold. We have only lots in land here. And then I also have 6 months to sold. And if you guys want to see basically my Zillow rundown, I do have a full video on that as well, of what I typically sort by to find really good auction deals, specifically more on like properties with houses on them. So looking here at Zillow, I looked on the map. Our property is on Fronda Avenue with Opaloka Lane? Opaloka. I have no idea how to pronounce these names. So if we look here, these are satellite images as well. We have a few parcels here. It seems like they already have some new construction going on. And if we look at parcels sold within the last 6 months, we have one here that's $17,000. Another one here for $17,000. This one is a corner lot, and these are 0.3. This one's a 10,000 square foot lot. We also have one up here. This one's a full acre, so I'm not going to count that because it's bigger than what our parcel is. We have this one here for 42.28 for 14. So just to confirm, oops, is this it? No. We can find this information on the property appraiser site. We have 10,000 square feet of land. So if we want to sort that even more specific, we can come here and do 5,000 to max. Let's do quarter acre. Usually that's about right. So right here, we kind of niched it down to this direct neighborhood, this area. We have parcels going for 14, 19. It seems like there's a pretty big gap. I would go ahead and look even further, see how long these were staying on the market for, how long it took to sell, if they're a corner lot, if there's already like plans done for the property. There's a few things that can differentiate these like 29s, the $20,000 ones by the $10,000 ones. So that's personally what I would do. But since ours is right here next to a few more houses, we can see that the closer we get to the property, it's roughly in the 10,000 plus, so 17K, 11K, and we have another here for 11K. So I would go ahead, do a little more research, but basically we have in our head that this would sell for more than $10,000, no more than 20, and seeing that our parcel is going up as the opening bid for $6,500, I would say if you could buy this for anything lower than 7 is probably going to be a really good deal, especially because you could put it on the market as a bang for like 15K, 14K. Of course, you would have to do more research to make sure that these numbers are a little more on point. But just off the top of my head, that would be like an easy steal for whoever's buying it on the market. Of course, you have to consider realtor fees, closing costs, all that jazz in there as well. But usually with parcels, if you do for sale by owner, or if you have a list of potential clients, builders, investors, etc., that you can offer this to, that would be a great plan. So basically that's what I would do step by step in terms of finding the auction, how to actually select a parcel and how much it could possibly be worth, seeing the starting bid and how much we should be able to bid on it in order for it to be a good deal. All right, so after you do all your research, find the property, look at the comps and see exactly how much you want to bid on the property, we're going to go to the post auction. Assuming that you won the bid, what's going to happen is they're going to email you some information. Most of the time with these county auctions, you do have to pay, like I said, within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours I've seen. Usually you have to pay either in a cashier's check or an actual cash. They'll have the exact directions on the county site and you can drive up to the clerk of courts. They usually have a little tax deed office and you can go right in there and settle your bill, and within a few weeks they should send you the deed with all of the information on there saying that you won the property. So congratulations, you've officially found your parcel, bought the parcel, and now you have to figure out what you want to do with it. So in this example video, we were basically looking just as like a quick flip, so we would buy the parcel and resell it really quickly without doing anything to it. There are some other additional things you can do as well, like cleaning out the parcel and having permits already taken out for a build. And usually people get a little bit more money on the parcel, and usually people end up selling the parcel for a little bit more if it's already been cleared out, if it's been leveled for a new build, because this is what people who are going to build on the parcel are going to look for, unless it's a builder trying to buy it, because usually they can do that stuff for a lot cheaper. So you just have to look at the comps and see what's doing well in your area. Or another option, which is what I did when I actually bought my tax deed parcel here in our area, it was zoned R4, meaning that I could also put a mobile home on this property. So I decided to go ahead and buy a used mobile home off of Facebook Marketplace for $10,000, and I paid a bunch of movers, got permits, renovated the whole thing, cleared the lot, brought it onto my property. It was definitely an experience. It took me over a year, and I have a video right here if you want to see that full process, but that is kind of the route that I took. Or you could even take out a new construction loan. They usually don't allow newbies to get these kinds of loans. However, if you're able to, a new construction loan might be a great way to get some money to go ahead and start a new build on this parcel and hopefully sell it for even more. And that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this and got a lot of information out of it, because this is one of my most asked questions, especially because tax deed sales are so easy to get into. And like I said, they have a very low barrier to entry, and you can usually buy them cash with no mortgage, banks, or loans. And if you guys want to learn how to actually invest in auction properties with houses on them, I can make a whole other video on that if you guys just comment down below and let me know. Or if you want to learn more about how to actually buy the tax deed parcels, find liens on them, and adding a mobile home to it, I do have a guide down below that I'll link for you guys that shows exactly what I did, how much I spent every step of the way during that process. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for the next one. Ciao!